It's Sharice. I'm going to make another attempt at doing this lecture. I showed a little bit of it in class, but we couldn't see the screen. So here's our intro homework. We went over this about when the homework and the questions are due on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Again, we've gone over this stuff. And so we started talking about critical thinking, looking at all sides and forming your own opinion because it matters. But if you get more information about something, then you can have a more informed opinion, which is quote unquote critical thinking. Sense of place, time, influence, historical record, ritual, culture. If you say you're from New Orleans, you tell that to people that are not from New Orleans, right? Talk about sense of place, we talk about the neighborhood. Don't freak out. I'm going to show you a bunch of images and go back and forth, and we'll see some of these again in the semester and some we won't. They're just a little like intro. That's it. It's a no notes lecture. So, the Mona Lisa, one of the most widely recognized portraits in the whole world, and it portrays a form of westernized beauty in the 16th century. Here we have Kenyan Woman, and portrays another culture's ideal of beauty. Their casting of people makes their portraiture recognizable to the person who knows the person being cast. If you knew Pat, you go, oh, I know her. And then there's Picasso. There's another portrait. Artists can give physical form to the non-tangible, such as feelings, the spiritual, or truths. Magical figure Congo. These figures, I love them. Showed the tribe's resistance to European colonization. In Central Africa, human power stemmed from communication with the dead. Niskinandi is made with nails, blades, etc. to punish wrongdoers. And they're usually standing and have a hand raised to attack. I love them. Anna Mendieta's site-specific documented through photography. She transfers the silhouette of her own body to the landscape. And this is red with blood. We'll see this later. The red is to signify blood. It's a very bloody border crossing in Mexico. Frida Kahlo's self-portrait deals with inner pain and struggles. Okay, this thing is so cool. So I know y'all are going, well, I can paint that. That's just a painting. It's just a bunch of dots. So, artists can help us see the world in new or innovative ways, or alter our sense of space with installation art, etc. Artists make a visual record of their time and place. They're recording what they see. So this is an example of installation art. It consists of a room. The ceiling, the floor, and wall are covered with mirrors that reflect LED lights suspended in space from the string. You can kind of see in the middle where there's not so many lights, that's actually a person standing there. Only one person is allowed in the room at a time. And it feels like you are in outer space, just floating. So I can't explain this to you. It's experience, but it's not a painting. Here's a Zen garden. Seeing is both physical and psychological process, also creative. It's an individual's perception of the world. John said the flag was something seen but not looked at or examined. He made this at a time when patriotism was rampant. Faith Ringgold, God Bless America, has a civil rights movement as his historical context. So y'all go, what's the big deal about this? Okay, so the content, the meaning of this is a lot deeper than what you see. The stripes on the flag represent prison bars and a white woman prisoner to her own bigotry. The star that she touches as she pledges allegiance represents a sheriff's badge because the legal system is responsible for some of the atrocities against African Americans. So there's a lot more meaning in this than what you see. Flags feature national pride and identity. Now I go, what the hell's the big deal about this? Okay. He used ant farms to assault nationalism. 36 plastic boxes are filled with colored sand to represent the flags of 36 countries of the Americas. These boxes are then connected by plastic tubing and filled with ants. The ants then carry the sand from different flags to each other. So we see these little cracks in the flags. That's actually ants carrying sand, and it's cross-cultural, right? All of a sudden, there's no borders. So here we have 3 paintings: Marc Chagall, Max Beckman, Jemaine Quigley Smith. There are similarities, but none of these images are wrong in their sense of the world's view. Visual literacy. I want to talk about this later, but basically, this says this is not a pipe. Well, it's not a pipe. It's a painting of a pipe. They're still arguing about this almost 100 years later. Lorna Simpson's She consistently challenges the relations between words and images. Simpson says black women in America are treated by society as if they were faceless. She challenges gender stereotypes. The subject matter, what the image literally depicts, barely hints at its complexity or what the image means. Shirin Nishat, Rebellious Silence. She portrays herself as a Muslim woman dressed in a black chador. A rifle divides her face, and on her face she's written a poem by a devout Iranian female poet, and explains that by wearing the chador, it conceals a woman's sexuality, therefore preventing her from becoming a sensual object. The poem also agrees with the rejection of Western dress. For viewers who cannot understand this poem, this is perceived differently, and the gum symbolizes the division between the East and West ideologies. In Islamic culture, the words, not the image, would take precedence because calligraphy is the main form of Islamic art. Okay, so when a work does not refer to the natural world, it is said to be non-representational. When it resembles what the eye sees, like realism. Okay, so this is an example of representational only because he's a liar. He said, this is the Rocky Mountains. He has never been to the United States. He's never been to the Rocky Mountains. He lives in the freaking Alps. So what he knows is, oh, there's like cowboys and Indians, quote unquote, back in 1863. Okay. This is more abstract than Bierstadt. Toyo, a Zen Buddhist, and relied on intuition and personal feeling, not intellectual reasoning. Habuku means broken ink. This casual application refers to his intuition technique, but we can still read this as a landscape. We still kind of see a tree and mountains. He makes coffins for his fellow villagers as well as the art market. This is an Aborigine artist and considered abstract. This is in Brasilia. She's from Brazil, sorry. And so she keeps adding colors to make it more dynamic. And sometimes there are things that, like an iconography, where you recognize something no matter what culture you're in or whatever. So here's Buddha, or one of the symbols of Buddha. All right, Stieglitz's composition. He's one of the first promoters of photos as art. And here's composition has all the essential elements: light, shadow, line, direction. But it also captures a moment of other conflicts and contrasts. Edward Hopper's master, he's a master of light, shadow, and realism, captures again a moment in time. This spoke of the transformation of Paris and modernity itself, the industrialization. Artists can also help drive causes which they believe in. They can be politically driven. There's this here where we see liberty leaving the people, and he painted this to keep the spirit of the French Revolution alive. Yes, he took a urinal, turned it on its side, and signed it with a name that wasn't his, and it was groundbreaking. We'll talk about this again. We're still talking about it. Okay. And this is a consignment of the work's progress. Politically driven mural depicting the atrocities brought on the people by the government. An artist has an innate need to make art, whether it be politically, emotionally, psychologically, or cause driven. They must make art for their own survival, not as a means of putting food on the table, but in the air that they breathe. Jan Van Eyck, although the wedding portrait, the meaning of a work of art can be lost over time. In Van Eyck's wedding portrait, the green dress was typical of a woman at a time, represented futility. She's not pregnant. Her stomach was a convention of female beauty. The groom's shoes are off. That refers to the Bible. The dog represents loyalty. The touching of hands is a mutual agreement to wed. What? And over the small mirror in the back, he writes, he tags it, he was here. So, and he's reflected as the artist himself. So it's like just crazy. I love it just because of this little tiny mirror. All right. Basquiat. He uses iconographic systems, both of his own and others' making. His painting is an homage to Charlie Bird Parker. He was a graffiti artist. Central to his personal iconography is the crown. And he also uses hobo signs. All right. Next one.